How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore PPF and Tint, and today we are working on a 2023 Tesla Model Y, and we're going to be installing a kit cut out with core on the rear bumper. So I don't think I've ever done a kit on one of these. I think we normally bulk these, so let's see how this goes. Okay, so what I'm going to be looking for here is to make sure that things are lining up well around this part here, as well as making sure these relief cuts are not, make sure they're hanging over the edge of the material. That's interesting. All right, so these relief cuts are starting to line up pretty well. And this bottom is lining up pretty well. Across here, but then we've got a lot of material here still. So that's gonna be interesting to see what they want us to do with that. Let's try something else. I don't know exactly what they want to do. Obviously there's some kind of stretching here that needs to happen that this chair is super squeaky. Or creaky, really. It's not much of a squeak, is it? It's more of a creak. Oh, look at that. Not painted all the way. I don't know, so I kind of am thinking about lining all this part up first and then working my way up this way here. Let's try that and see what happens. So we're gonna line up here. And squeegee this. Let's make sure we're lined up good here on the bottom. I did have my wife cut this out, and I asked her to give me some more material. I asked her to give me some extra material hanging over here because I thought I was going to remove these fender flares, but then that's not happening. They don't quite come off as easy as the front ones. So we're going to kind of look for that to be even hanging over. Put some tack in there on that bottom corner, and then we can stretch down into place. And let's go ahead and squeegee this out. Okay, and then let's squeegee over to here. So basically what I've got is this area tacked down, even on this corner here. We don't want that. We want to make sure that stays lined up really well. And let's stretch this into place now. Man, it's a little tacky today, huh? Okay, let's get over to this line, or over to this part here. That. Get some more tack in there. Get stretched over here. Okay. And we'll just kind of leave that hanging there. Let's get this part taken care of here. See if I can sneak some tack in there. We'll go ahead and get this in place here. And then we're gonna go ahead and continue to stretch upwards. Okay, so we're gonna need some tack up here so when we stretch to this top, we can get it to stay down. Okay, kind of keep an eye here, make sure we're running real good on that edge as well. Okay, I'm gonna get some more slip in here now. And then I'm going to go ahead and stretch this up into place here. So I'm just kind of working my way over, making sure that this is lined up real good, and then letting this drop down as we come across. Okay, we're going to need some stretch this direction to get this stuff off the edge here. So something like that should work good. So I'm going to hold this in place now and let this kind of start to tack up a bit. And then we'll go ahead and squeegee some of this out while we're waiting. Oh. You can't see all that I'm doing, can you? Okay. Alright, so just kind of stretching that into place, squeegeeing it out. Let's get a little tack in there. Okay. Okay, so let's now... Well, we don't want this popping back up. Come on now. All right, you stay there. Okay. And then I'm going to put some tack right here on this edge. And then we're going to stretch this over. Just till it's over the edge. Till those relief cuts are over the edge. All right, so now we're worked to here. Let's go ahead and get this out. Just gonna put some slip in here. And then we're gonna tighten this right here, and then we can burp this out. Okay, and then let's go ahead and take all this out now. So we're going to try stretching the other side differently than this, so I'll probably show both sides. Let's get some good pressure on there and get this squeegeed out really well. All right. Yeah, we're going to try stretching the other side differently. That seems messy. Kind of to do it like that. As far as starting over there, hopefully there's an easier way to get this on. Like I said, I've never installed this kit before, so I'm kind of just learning as I go here. And there's no instructions, so just kind of guessing. All right, so now we're tacked down real good right here. All of this is completely tacked down. Everything's lined up really well. Got some little fingers coming up here on the bottom. Not that those are a huge deal right now, but let's go ahead and squeegee them out. So we put a little tack in there and then just do a little swipe and hold. Okay, it looks like I might have a little bit to trim. I might have got that down just a little far, but that's not a big deal at all. Okay. All right, so let's see what we can do here with this side. Let's first eliminate pre-tacking. Man, I put 10 milliliters of soap in my soap today. Thought that was gonna be enough. Might not have made it all the way through the hose yet though. So we'll see. We'll see if this starts floating better now. All right, so these look like they're lining up pretty good. And so we're gonna need to be careful that we don't overstretch this direction now. So all this stuff is pretty much just gonna lay flat and not get any stretch. Otherwise we're gonna end up with too much material that way. Let's see, this is looking like it wants to come up around this little edge. So let's put some tack in there and then do a swipe and hold on that. Okay, there we go. So I'm just kind of lining up, making sure this bottom is lined up real well. We'll squeegee this out. Okay. All right, it's not super important that this tiny little lip stays down right now. We'll come back to that and get some tack in there if it doesn't stay down. Now let's see what we can do with this side here and see if we can do things differently than we did on the other side, as I didn't like the way that stretched. Oh, that feels like it's floating around pretty good now. Okay, so this might work out better this way. We'll see. So you can see, because where this comes down and then turns right there, you can see that this is supposed to be stretched up to right there. So let's get this very corner tack down. Like right there. That will be good. Okay, so we're gonna keep that tacked down, and then we're gonna tack this part down here all the way across the top. Okay. Oh, that's looking, that might be looking better. Let's see, what do we want to do now? This is gonna keep popping out. Let's see. Okay, so if we stretch, let's see here. Let's get you a little bit of view. So if we stretch down to here right now, that kind of makes this pop up right here. So my thought process is, let's go ahead and tack this top section down first, and then we'll go from there. And actually, we don't want to do that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just tack this corner down now. Well, once I get enough tack in there, I will. I sprayed so much slip in there that it keeps running it down and flushing out my tack solution. Okay, so let's get this in place. Okay, and then let's see what this looks like when we start to stretch this way. So that pulling down that way helped this line up really well. Let's see what we can do here now. I put a little tack in there, and I'm going to put just a little bit of stretch towards the front of the car. And that looks like it should lay down. Okay, I like that. So let's see. This has tack in it already, so let's push this part out. Just get this lined up. It's probably misaligned right here because of the extra amount that we bumped that out. I think she bumped it out like 1/4 of an inch. Okay, let's get this squeegee down with some tack. Okay, so now we've got this air trapped in here. Well, at least it can't go this way. It's not necessarily trapped in here because this is wide open, but now let's go ahead and trap that air in there. So we're going to stretch this over until this is past the edge here. Oh, I do need the watch off for this one. Okay. Okay, so when I'm stretching this over, I'm noticing a finger starting right here. And so when I'm stretching this, I'm going to pull up just a tiny bit and just make sure that I'm not creating any fingers up here, and I'm still getting a nice flat flush surface here. And then let's go ahead and burp this out. Okay. All right, so these guys, you don't want to go over them this way. If we can get rid of them, it's going to be straight down. Okay, there we go. We'll just bring them out this direction. All right, so that went better that time. Okay, I do have a dot right here, so I'm going to pull this top off now that the rest of this is stuck in place. And I'm going to pull down to one of the areas we didn't use any tack, so it's just slip solution. And we're going to go ahead and get rid of this little dot. See right here? Okay, and it's going to need the tiniest bit of stretch upwards. And then this needs to come up and over just a little bit. So we're not trying to you're just trying to reline it back up. If you put too much stretch on it, you will leave a mark going across here. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so everything here is down. This is down to there, this is down. Let's go ahead and get this corner down here. And then we'll squeegee everything out. Okay. All right, so we're gonna kind of try to keep this even here, and then make sure that we get rid of as much of these fingers as we can. And actually, so I'm not too concerned about this being even, as long as we get rid of the fingers. Because I'm just gonna have to trim this off anyway. You know, that's something I did to myself by having my wife extend that a little bit. Okay. So I put some tack in there, and then we're gonna squeegee this out after we get it all lined up. And then let's go ahead and get all of this out of here now. And then just keep bringing this out here. All right, let's get some tack in here. There is a bit of a body line on this panel. I don't know what you want to call it actually. It's like a seam in the plastic bumper. And so this material is going to want to keep popping up from that spot unless we get it tacked down really good to the opposite side of that line right there. I think I will just trim it right on that side of that line, because this line is it's pretty pronounced on this bumper, and that's just gonna end up holding air, which will then get water and dirt in it over time. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see how this goes. I'll make that decision later, actually. Yeah, I can see that it just keeps filling, the water keeps running back in there. Push the air out and it just goes back in. So we'll see what we can do with that. Okay. Let's get these guys down. Okay. All right, let's get this little finger down right here. Alright, that's looking really good. We're lined up real good up here. Okay, let's start working on this section here. Let's see. We don't want to put much stretch on that way if we can help it, because it's bumping into that back edge if we do. So it just wants to just barely lay down here. Okay, so I've got that laid down, and then we're just going to squeegee this out. See if we can get a little tack in here. Okay, let's also make sure this corner, everything's out of this corner as far as slip and tack solution. Got a little air, I mean, it's just not wanting to stick right here, so we're gonna go ahead and put some tack in there. It's a little finger on the very corner here, where it's going around that edge. That's looking better. That's looking good. Okay, we'll continue to work our way down here. I think I want to get some of this bottom down now. and then we'll work on these two here. Okay, just make sure you don't leave anything on these edges, these little, the round, you know, where it rounds over. As far as leaving any moisture underneath there. Okay, let's see what we can do with these guys now. Start with this bottom one first. And that looks good. He could even take a little stretch if necessary for anything. Okay, now this one is going to overlap that one if we don't kind of pull up on it a little bit. If we don't have to do any trimming, that'd be better. Okay, there we go. All right, double checking those edges again. Okay, that's looking really good. I'm just gonna get this bottom part down right now. So let's get some tack in here. Okay. All right, let's double check this edge though before things get too tacked down. Looks like we didn't leave anything behind. I feel like I feel something there, but the squeegee's not grabbing anything, so when your finger, if you can get your finger to slide real well, you can normally bunch any water up into a like a water bubble, and then you would know you've got something underneath there. When your finger, you know, goes across it like this, you're never going to be able to feel anything underneath there. Okay, so let's get some slip in here first, and then put this into place. Okay, that's going to want to go up a little there. And it's creating a finger here, so we are going to have to pull back just a little bit, and let's see what that looks like. I think we're actually running into that back. We're running into that back corner, that back edge. So this one I'm probably going to have to trim once this is fully installed. Okay, so let's make it go into place now. So we got some tack in there. And then I'm just pushing right back into that recess there. And I left now I got a little piece of dirt. Go figure. There we go. Got rid of that. Okay, so this has some moisture left in it. And so let's do this. Let's try this again. Because this here isn't super, so hang on. Okay, so I want to get this, I want to try and get this part stuck down real well first. That way when we pull this back, there's no, you know, it's already pushed down right there. All right, so let's keep an eye on that, make sure it stays nice and tight. Okay, that looks good. We are gonna have to trim this off back here. That won't be a huge deal. Okay, get some tack. So I'm putting a little tension downwards on this. That way we can get this to lay down nice and smooth. Okay, so that part's looking good now. Let's double check this edge. Okay, everything's feeling really good. There's nothing in there. All right, great. So same process here on this part. I'm gonna go ahead and get this bottom one down first. And I am gonna kind of pull down on it just a little bit because these were so close to each other last time. Okay, that's looking good. Okay. Okay. So let's see, if we just lay that down, it is gonna hit again. So we are gonna need to go up with it a little bit. So I'm gonna just kind of pull this, you know, just like I'm making a seam here. Pull this tight right up against it. And then we're gonna squeegee this out. Okay, that's looking really good. I'm just drying out all these edges here. Wiping everything down, make sure everything looks good and sealed down. All right, so this bottom down here is hanging over just a tiny bit. So that is going to need to be trimmed. Not sure if it really can go underneath there and stick. No, it's running into the plastic there. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim that off. All right, so as far as this bumper goes, this side went smoother than the other side. So I would definitely install it this way, where you start with this part lined up and then stretch down to, you know, so okay, so we started with this lined up. And no. Okay, so we squeegeed over to here. We tacked this where it needed to go, and then we brought that line across to here. Then we stretched down to here. Then we stretched this way. Oh yeah, so we stretched down to here, then we stretched back this way to get this lined up, and that all helped. This stretch and that stretch helped get this all nicely lined up, and then we stretched down into here. So that worked really well. I would suggest doing it that way versus the way I did it on the other side. And then from there, we pulled this tight, laid it down, burped all the air out, and then squeegeed all that out. And that looks really good. No distortions in the adhesive or anything, so that's the way to go. I will need to come back here and trim out this section here, and then across the bottom. And then on the other side, right in here, I'm gonna have to trim where it went back and hit the other part of the bumper. So it went all the way back and then turned, and that's not gonna work because That's not gonna work because that's too tight of a bend, and it's just gonna catch air and then, you know, have air pockets and stuff like that in it. Terrific. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.